You see all the headlines about AI, right? Every new breakthrough, every company hitting $1 trillion valuation. But what you don't see is the hidden layer of software that makes it all possible. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the unseen engine of this entire revolution.
I mean, really think about it for a second. These chips are some of the most complex things humans have ever built, packing in hundreds of billions of transistors. So how on earth does a company like NVIDIA or Broadcom actually, make one of these things?
Well, it turns out it all starts with highly specialized software from a company that, honestly, you've probably never even heard of. It's called Cadence Design Systems, and they are the absolutely critical, can't do it without them partner for basically everyone building the hardware for AI.
Okay, let's dive into this. The absolute best way to think about Cadence is that old saying about a gold rush. They're not the ones digging for gold. That's the AI chips themselves. No, they're the ones selling the picks and shovels to every single person who wants to start digging.
So what they actually make is this stuff called electronic design automation, or just EDA for short. And look, without EDA, the modern chip industry it wouldn't exist. It's the software that lets engineers design, test, and simulate a chip 1,000,000 times over before ever spending a fortune to actually manufacture the real thing. It's foundational.
And you don't have to just take my word for how critical they are. The numbers from their latest financial reports, well, they tell the whole story. Let's just take a look at the absolute blockbuster year they just had.
First up, 14% revenue growth for the whole year. Now, in today's economy, seeing double-digit growth like this is a massive signal. It points to one thing and one thing only: ferocious, unrelenting demand for their tools. And it's all being driven by the AI arms race.
But this is the number that really tells you what's going on. Their backlog. They're walking into the next fiscal year with a record $7.8 billion in future orders already locked in. That's basically guaranteed revenue. That kind of certainty is almost unheard of in the tech world. It shows you just how baked in they are to their customers' long-term plans.
And then there's another piece of their business, their intellectual property, or IP. It grew by a staggering 25%. Think of this like selling pre-designed, ready-to-go Lego blocks for chip designers. It lets companies build these super complex AI systems way faster, and it's clearly a booming market for them.
So these numbers are amazing, but they raise a question. What's the strategy that's actually driving all this? And this is where it gets really clever. It's not just that Cadence is enabling AI. They're using AI themselves to create this powerful, self-reinforcing growth loop, what they call a flywheel.
Their strategy is beautifully simple, really, with two sides. On one hand, you have design for AI. The AI revolution needs bigger, badder chips, which means more demand for Cadence's core software. Easy enough. But on the other hand, you've got AI for design. They're embedding AI into their own tools to make the design process itself way faster and more efficient, which in turn creates new products they can sell. It's brilliant. Their CEO, Anirudh Devgan, has this great analogy for it. He calls it a 3-layer cake. So the base of the cake is the raw computing hardware. That middle layer is Cadence's core simulation software, the stuff grounded in physics and math. And then the top layer, the icing, is AI, which intelligently drives those core tools to find solutions that a human engineer might never even think of.
Okay, but this brings us to the elephant in the room. It's the big question every investor is asking. If AI gets good enough to design chips all by itself, couldn't it just replace Cadence entirely? Are they basically building the technology that's going to put them out of business?
Well, the CEO's answer is a powerful no. In fact, he says it's the exact opposite. He argues that AI isn't a replacement, it's a force multiplier. A human engineer might test 5 designs. An AI agent can run 100 or 1,000 in the same amount of time. And every single one of those designs needs to be verified by Cadence's core physics-based tools. So the workload, as he says, becomes exponential. And hey, this isn't just a theory. They're already selling products that prove it. Take their new ChipStack AI super agent. It's a perfect example. It's an AI tool that automates a ton of the tedious, manual parts of the process, and customers are reporting up to a 10x productivity boost. The new AI layer handles the grunt work, but it still calls on the core Cadence software to do the heavy lifting. So, with all this incredible momentum behind them, what does the future look like? Let's take a peek at what they're forecasting for the year ahead. The outlook is strong, to say the least. After hitting almost $5.3 billion in revenue, they're projecting that to grow to around $6 billion next year. And this continued growth,
This confidence is all built on that massive multi-year backlog we saw earlier.
Now, it's important to note, management themselves call this guidance prudent. They have a reputation for being a bit conservative, especially when it comes to things they can't fully control, like hardware sales or business in China. So there's a good chance there's even some room for them to beat these numbers.
And the tailwinds behind them are just so powerful. You've got the big cloud providers, the hyperscalers like Google and Amazon, all designing their own custom AI chips now. You've got the whole industry moving to stacking chips vertically, which is way more complex. And you have huge new markets like cars and robotics that are suddenly demanding tons of new chips. Every one of these trends funnels directly back to Cadence.
So, the crucial point here, the big takeaway, is this. Cadence isn't just riding the AI wave. They are a fundamental part of the tide that is lifting all the boats. Their software is so deeply woven into the very fabric of chip design that as AI gets more complex, their role just becomes more and more essential. And that leaves us with one last, kind of fascinating thought to chew on. We are right now at a point where AI-powered software is being used to design the next generation of AI hardware. As this virtuous cycle speeds up, where one generation of AI helps create an even smarter successor, what does that next leap in innovation even look like? It's pretty wild to think about.